I'll present a little bit different view from Marcel's. We at ORG, we are a global organization driven by Jewish values. And we have 140 years of experience behind us, celebrating this year. ORG's mission is in transforming lives through education and training. And our vision is to place the future in the hands of the next generation of people, and that's for element of this discussion. We reach about 300,000 people every year in more than 30 countries, so we do have a global view of what is happening in this field. One of our main goals is really to bridge between the ability and the opportunity, and that's what was just discussed. I want to give a few, maybe a few examples that will give it proper context. Our university, for example, in Montevideo, in Uruguay, just last week was ranked by the US World University Ranking as the best university in the country, among 500 best in the world. We have a college, for example, called Al-Braudi Academic College in Israel, which is the leading institution in the country. We are headquartered in Geneva, so we have also the UN and UNESCO perspective. And like yourself, I'm a big fan of UNESCO and working with them very closely. We are driven by the Jewish values, and our projects promote also Tikkun Olam, which is the healing the world philosophy, and promote social responsibility. So we do many projects on different levels. And from the last 60 years, we run projects in Africa, Eastern Europe, FSU, Latin America, Asia, and regardless of religion, ethnicity, we work with every segment of population. And about over 2 million people benefited from ORG's knowledge in 98 different countries. Now we have partners among others, World Bank, Coca-Cola, Hewlett-Packard, UNESCO, and many others. Just as an example, for example, in Liberia, we work together with the USAID. We trained about 11,000 world-affected young people with professional skills. In Chad, we did it with ExxonMobil, and with Hewlett-Packard, for example, in Ukraine, Russia, South Africa. We established dozens of NGOs in Albania and Kosovo, and trained tens of thousands in countries like Senegal and Namibia. Now, to the topic of discussion, we don't believe that education is the key to everything. It's also the key to fighting anti-Semitism in our case, and any kind of bigotry. And this context, just we speak about really not only about engineering, but having what the university should be dealing with. So, for example, only last week, we are working closely with the Global Combat Anti-Semitism Movement. It's a network of over 200 organizations. And just last week, we have a major dialogue between the Secretary General of the Muslim World League, Sheikh Dr. Mohammed Alisa, and the senior Jewish leadership, as well as senior US State Department officials, and including many academics. Now, in our opinion, education is more than set of skills, like was discussed here before. It's also the most needed cure. And the question comes now in the post-COVID-19 education.
You have other 30 seconds.
How do we create global citizens? And at all, we believe that equal educational rights and diversity, including identities and cultures. So I want to give you an example of Mexico, of our university, for example, in Mexico, which is a unique university providing degrees and training for the third sector. And it's aimed at targeting higher education for NGO professionals and volunteers. And really, it's training people to make a difference. So just to sum up, because I see that there's no time, and maybe I'll speak later the intervention. From our perspective, and by the way, I'm speaking now from Israel. In Israel, to say what we believe exactly the opposite of what Marcel said. We believe in diversity of skills. We are, as it's well known, the startup nation, and we are a startup nation because we absorb here people from more than 100 countries that came graduated from different universities worldwide. So just to quickly summarize my short remarks, we are committed to preparing new and transformative leadership in these academic institutions worldwide via sustainable development, modern education, locally and globally. We are committed to use the education as a tool for tackling social justice, and we're rapidly adapting our activities in response to COVID-19 in order to meet contemporary global needs, and we'll be very happy if many of our students will know 6 or 7 languages, and it's a really important thing. So thank you.
Robert mentioned, since there are 10 of us, we have 20 views already. Probably by the end of today, there will be 40. with maybe 100 or 1,000,000 or 1,000,000,000, I think we might do it. So it is not only what I think I have done, but what we could do it as a unit, as a human representatives of a process that is quintessential, existential, and as Robert also mentioned, is the key to everything. In that process, there will be mistakes. And Corona, yes, accelerated, but I think we were ready for around 300 years to actually address this problem. And silence after such a question would not be acceptable anymore. So
thank you. First of all, it's really inspiring and diverse the discussion with the diverse opinions. But let's remember that we are a group of like-mindeds, and all of us are dealing with this issue for many decades, and some of us are involved in different levels. Now, my point is that we are probably now facing the most critical junction in the history of at least of the last few decades. I just, like many of you, I guess, I just got a letter a couple of weeks ago from the Director General of UNESCO, from Audrey Azoulay, writing to me that about 95% of the students of the world are out of classes. Some of the students, most of the universities worldwide, are still closed or moved to distance learning courses. And the question is, all the issues we discuss here, in this environment, how do you deal with the teaching values? How do you deal with the teaching with social good, citizenship, or how do you teach peace when you do it online with the expand of attention of students of a few minutes? And this is before the second wave of coronavirus or any other things. And I think that we should really try to focus on how we're dealing with these new realities. I think we are pretty much on top of other things, and but to some extent we are talking yesterday's language. We have to understand what we are facing in the next couple of years, and I don't know how long or what other crisis situations we are going to face. Now, the second point is really, and it was mentioned here, but I really want to put a focus on this, is politicization of education. And I don't want to mention obviously the countries, but you know, it's this country first or other country first, or countries are really becoming from being global. We have to find a balance. Having this conference under the auspices of the United Nations, with the concept of thinking globally, acting locally. But on the other hand, we have many countries today acting locally, and let's not care too much about what is happening globally. And obviously, we have to speak about dividing the education from political influence or from the influence of funders, as it was said here, because in many of the universities, the studies today are according to donations that were received, and you have the situation where new faculties are being opened only because there is somebody who paid the chair of this subject or things of this kind. I also want to revert to what Witold said, because I think this is the most important thing, is how do we do it together? Because I think we are sitting here, people dealing with education, higher education from different countries, and it's nice we are meeting at different conferences. The question is really how we are moving it to next step, and in my opinion, is really the integration, the global integration, at least the part of the knowledge integration, is the key. As I said, after being living 20 years in London, New York, and some other places, I live now for the last 6 months in Israel. This country opened itself up to different kind of skills from people around the world. And this is the only reason why this country is dealing well with both with the coronavirus, but also with the economy and the market challenges. And once again, we have to focus on these issues. And I know that like everybody else, I have more questions than answers. But once again, I think that we have to deal with the new challenges that coronavirus brought to the educational system. And this is the first time that it doesn't matter if you are a billionaire or if you are homeless, you're facing the same situation, and you are not in the schools. And how do you are not in the universities, and how do you deal with this challenge of this kind?